Back at the last US general election, a lot of people on the left were really upset that Joe Biden was going to be the guy running, and the thought was he wasn't going to really do anything for them, or that he wasn't really going to sort of achieve anything as a president. That they were not expecting a lot from him. Now, of course, yes, they have the whole Gaza issue on at the moment. That has, I know, soured people's um, opinions of Biden again. But when you look at his record, Biden has had a number of achievements, most specifically, of course, in the area of workers' rights. This is one area in particular I think, leftists in America should be really celebrating. And I've talked before about how if a government does something good, even if you disagree with them, even if it was like a conservative government, but they actually put forward a policy that was good, the left should not be scared to say, actually, that was a good policy. Now, of course, over here, that sort of, that hasn't happened. But lefties in America should not be afraid to say, "Hey, Biden, all that stuff, all that work that you've done with workers' rights has actually been, monumentally good. Good clap. Shame about Gaza and etc. And we disagree with that, but you know what? We should at least acknowledge when something good has happened, even in politics." And this has something that has just happened as well this week, that Starmer and Labour are now pushing for more workers' rights. And yet, it got massively overshadowed because of the Diane Abbott issue. But I think this is something far more important, because now, when you get a Labour government, you are, as a worker, are about to get a lot more power, because you've got a Labour government that is going to be willing to fight for workers' rights. So we're going to be talking about some of the stuff that Starmer wants to bring in, quoting the man himself from some of the speeches he gave, even something that Labour also published out as well. So before we get into that, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page, the Buy Me a Coffee link, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, the Pony Club down below as well. So, as always, thank you very much to everyone who does support the channel. Like I say, click on the like, click on the share button. And of course, as always, let's crack on into this. So, what has obviously been going on? Well, the Labour New Deal Labour's New Deal for workers has been something that has been talked about for quite a number of almost a year now at this point. But I think it is something really crucial, and more importantly, really crucial in the election, where you have Rishi Sunak, who is constantly repeating the mantra of that Starmer hasn't got any ideas or anything like that. Starmer can pull all this stuff out of what he wants to do with workers' rights. And here's the thing, Rishi has nothing to say on that issue. Because once again, wind your minds back to 2010. In fact, wind your minds back to the 2008 financial crash, indeed. Because workers' rights have become something not much of a revolution, but more of an evolution. As people have realized since the 2008 financial crash that actually having more workers' rights, being more protected at work, not only improves your own, life and well-being, but also actually creates a positive workspace for businesses as well. So having these things, having these protections is and has been recognized over time as actually a monumental benefit. And even this has ended up now crossing party lines. Because there was a quote, I can't remember where I saw it, but even conservatives were saying, hey, if we got better workers' rights, that's fine with us, even if it comes at the cost of slowing down the economy. And imagine that coming from a party that is, you know, Liz Truss based, someone who was involved in the writing of Britannia Unchained, calling the British worker the laziest in the world. But this is more in part of the overall Labour strategy of trying to re-win those working class voters that they lost back in 2019. And workers' rights is exactly what they are doing. So, first of all, let's go over what Starmer himself said, speaking back on the 25th of May, when he said this. He said, the number one mission of an incoming government is to grow the economy. To make our economy now ensures that living standards are now improved everywhere across the country. I do not think you can do that if you don't treat your workforce properly. Again, hardly, um, the most revolutionary thing, but that is incredibly appealing and will be incredibly appealing to a lot of voters. And of course, this also got reinforced by Labour themselves when they put out this statement on the 24th of May, saying this as well. The step change is now needed in how working people exercise control over their working lives, and businesses need urgent action to actually address our poor productivity. Labour is pro worker and pro business, and we will work in partnership with trade unions and businesses to deliver. And there is something that a lot of people on the left would say, oh, that's a bit of a contradiction, that you cannot be both pro worker and pro business. But no, absolutely, you can. Because workers' rights and policy to have better businesses are completely different things. Now, of course, one will obviously affect the other. But as we've seen over time, offices and places and workspaces that have good workers' rights and worker protections have ultimately flourished a lot more during, especially since 2008, being a lot more attractive places for people to work. In fact, having incredibly high worker retention. Gripple in Sheffield is a perfect example of such a place. So there are definite key things that is going to happen and is in the drive to do. So, what exactly, of course, are they going to do? What are these ideas that they are putting forward? Well, first of all, we've got protection against unfair dismissal from day one. Again, perfect. That's good. That's good. You know, unfair dismissal, perfect. Can't disagree with that really. What else do you want me to say? It's a good workers' right policy. Second of all, a ban on compulsory 0 hours contracts. Something else Starmer can really attack the Conservatives on, because they've been saying they are going to deal with 0 hour contracts for years and they've never done anything about it. So here is once again an opportunity for them to sort of deliver on something and be actually quite improvement on a lot of people's lives if you can do that. Uh, so the other one is to end fire and rehire. Excellent. Definitely something that does need to be sort of seriously addressed. More flexible working options. We've seen, of course, since the pandemic, more and more people sort of embracing flexible working, sort of like flexi time or sort of more working from home. So expanding those options, giving people those rights to be able to engage in those working options, I think is very, very good. Next one, right to switch off out of hours. That is going to be incredibly important for a lot of people. Incredibly important for a lot of people. I know so many people who are constantly on their phones worried that if they get an email or anything like that, that you know, they might get a telling off in the office, or they might end up being fired the next day because they didn't read an email that they received out of hours in the when they were at home. So I think that is something else we should be really sort of talking about and sort of having. The other one, of course, is more strengthened maternity and parental leaves, and of course, sick pay rights. So obviously, at the moment, we don't know fully what those are going to be yet. They're sort of a bit more ethereal at the moment, but expect them to be sort of more crystallized, mainly as we go into sort of when we get a manifesto, or even when we get into government, what we see on this. So this is something we should really, really be crediting Labour for giving this shift and giving such an important focus on dignity at work and fairness in the workplace as well. So good on Labour for doing that. So as always, let me know what you think down below. And of course, as always, you can click the like, share, and subscribe button as well. And of course, we'll see you all next time.